Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Rider Zero Spike back again once again. Today we have a Kamen Rider Geats episode 13, and we get the debut of a brand new freaking awesome form and a debut of two brand new characters who have two brand new characters who have something to do with the game, and who also have access to like these broken freaking buckles, but we'll get into that. So this episode basically starts off with Geats out here at a photo shoot, stuff like that. We can actually go around seeing what everybody's basically doing. Well, our main three anyway. And he's having a photo shoot and all this good stuff. But then he sees this woman. He sees this woman that walks up to him and offering him some type of like assistance. And we also see that Kawa finally got a job. He's working at the noodle shop, and we see Buffer just doing workout stuff. But everybody kind of gets visited, or at least visited or encounters this little girl in a red hat. And when she walks past them, they basically lose their core, like their core that goes into their driver falls down. And we see that while Neon is trying to progress the plot, we see that she's talking to her dad, asking him about what is the DGP, how do you know about the DGP, and he's like, oh, it's better off that you don't know. So she's like, okay, if you ain't gonna tell me, then I'm going to find out for myself. So she gets ready to run away. When she gets ready to run away, she goes outside. The little girl in the red hat walks past her and her core falls. We did see that also that Geats was also at a photo shoot. While he's at the photo shoot, well, you know what? I'm going to skip Geats for right now. I'm going to go straight to Kawa. While Kawa is at his new job, he sees the little girl in the red hat walk past the door. He runs over there after her, but his core also falls to the ground. We see that Buffer is also working out. He's doing some runs, and he ends up encountering the girl in the red hat, and his core falls. And we see that while she tries to do the same thing to Geats while he's still talking to this woman, and he sees that and he runs back up to her and takes his driver back from her. So essentially this little girl in the red hat is actually going around, when she walks past you, she takes your driver. So since he basically gets his driver back from her, they end up getting attacked by a group of regular Jamato. We see that they end up going off and fighting most of these Jamato. Geats basically hitches up and starts fighting most of these Jamato, but he ends up getting intercepted and losing his driver. When he loses his driver, one of the Jamato take his driver and end up hitching with it. We see that Punk Jack is also there with Geats, and he's also fighting Geats while also fighting some of the Jamato. So he ends up Punk Jack, I think Punk Jack basically, he loses his stuff too. But we did see that Geats is still wondering why is the DGP after me? Like, why is the DGP suddenly trying to eliminate me even though I've saved the world so many times? We see that Gidori is, talking to him, because Gidori is the game master himself, and tells him that, oh, I don't know, I'm just a regular dude, that all that right there is beyond me. So yeah. So we end up seeing that while everyone has essentially lost their drivers and whatnot, we see that they end up getting called to the game. When they end up getting called to the game, we get a few choice words between Punk Jack and Ace. And Ace is like, Punk Jack is like, yeah, you're gonna lose. He's just talking shit. And Ace asks him, like, he said, why do you want me to lose so bad? Like, what about me is threatening you so much? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, beats me. I don't care. I got my own motives on why I don't like you. So we end up seeing that they end up getting called to this game. This game is basically going to be musical chairs, where they have a set time limit to find their drivers. So also the Jamato will also be looking for their drivers to use to become Jamato riders. So we see that they end up getting sent out, and they're still looking for their drivers. They're using any means necessary to find their drivers. We see that KY is sort of looking for the little girl in the red hat, and Neon is basically using her social media influence to find out who this little girl in the red hat is. She's asking her fans and stuff to send her stuff like that. And we see that Sarah, who is Quinoa's sister, she ends up saying that she found the little girl in the red hat, and she ends up telling Quinoa where she saw her. She basically saw her at a shrine. So he ends up meeting Neon over there, and they ended up seeing a group of Jamato walking into the woods. And in the woods, this little girl in the red hat is basically giving drivers to a bunch of Jamato. We see that Keiwa runs over there, fights off a few of the Jamato, and he gets the drivers back. And that's when Neon and Keiwa end up getting their drivers back. After that, we see that Buffer ends up seeing this, and Buffer is like, okay, well, now I gotta find a way to get my driver back as well. But he does end up getting attacked by a group of Jamato. We see that Geats ends up meeting up back over there with but basically with Buffer and the other two, and with Neon and Quinoa, and they ended up fighting this. They're the only ones that can hinge him right now. Buffer is like pissed off that he doesn't want any help from KY or anything like that. But we see that Neon is the one that ended up convincing him to let them, let them help them out and stuff like that. So they ended up fighting off all these Jamato. KY and Neon are destroying some of them, and Buffer and Punkjack are basically fighting them in their human forms, while also trying to basically take a driver from one of these Jamato. So while this is happening, we see that Geats is really getting this butt whooped. So he ends up asking KY, hey, can I use your driver for a good 5 minutes so I can destroy the Jamato that used... There was a Jamato that ended up using his driver. He ended up losing his driver, and there was a Jamato that ended up using his driver to transform into a Jamato rider. So that's essentially his driver that he's trying to get back, essentially. So he ends up taking KY's driver, using his driver to Henshin up. When he does Henshin up, one of the guy, this man in the suit, who is basically the boss of the mysterious woman that talked to him earlier, ends up sending him a buckle. Now he sends him a buckle. It's called the Command Twin Strike, or Command Jet Strike, something like that. He ends up sending him that. He ends up using it and hitching up with it, and it gives him a visor and a sword. Then after that, man, Geats is a monster with this freaking sword play. He ends up using this sword to take out a crap ton of Jamato. We see that the other side of the buckle is attached to the sword, but the sword isn't charged up yet, so he can't take the buckle off. So as he's destroying multiple Jamato, they start to charge up the sword. Like, it starts to charge up the sword the more Jamato he ends up defeating. So he ends up charging up the sword completely, and while he's still fighting all these Jamato, we see that Punkjack is talking to Buffer, and he says, hey, if you want your driver back, I'll give you some advice. So we see that he ends up transforming, and when he ends up charging up the sword again, or charging up the sword all the way to full power, he's able to take the other side of the buckle off. When he takes the other side of the buckle off, he's able to use the complete Jet Command form, called Twin Strike, and this form looks absolutely dope. I mean, it's really bulky. It's a really bulky, like, robotic type of form. A really bulky type of form, but you see, like, he's pretty good with it. I mean, he's like, he's using it pretty freaking well against this Jamato rider, and he ends up taking this Jamato rider out and end up destroying him. But soon as he he ends up giving KY all the stuff. He ends up giving KY the Jet Strike stuff. He ends up giving him his driver back, and he also ends up giving him, like, the Magnum buckle. Like, he gives him everything just to be just to let KY know that, hey, I should be thanking you, stuff like that. He tries to go and pick up his driver, but then Buffer runs over and picks up the driver first. So, yes. So now Ace is still shit out of luck and does not have a driver. Same thing with Punk Jack, but they don't have drivers right now. So next episode we're going to get to next episode they're going to do part 2 of the game, and most likely KY may win this. I mean, I'm thinking that KY's going to win because KY is also going to use the jet form. But yeah, maybe we're all getting to a point where we will have some episodes without Ace and he will lose his memories, because that's really what Ghidorah wants. Ghidorah really wants to try and get rid of Geats because he's sick of him. And then Ghidorah also talks to the man who sent Geats the jet buckle, telling him to stop interfering into my game and things like that. And the other guy is like, well, what kind of game is it if the game master is trying to interfere in the game? Like, what type of game is that? So, but also we did see Ghidorah talk to the greenhouse guy. And I did find out what his name was, but it's weirdly pronounced name. But we said this guy also, secretly he wants to destroy the DGP, but he's also pissed off about losing a lot. So that's why he's upgrading all the Jamato, really, because he's tired of losing all of them. So that's why he's been giving them like this ultimate he's basically just giving them ultimate fertilizer by giving them the power to start being able to talk and have the cognizance to use drivers and things like that. And it just seems like everybody's just not taking Ghidorah seriously, except Punk Jack and Sumidi, but that's really about it. But overall, this was a great episode, man, and also a great form. Like, this form looks absolutely dope. I love the color scheme of it. I just love the overall thing. It's a little bulky in my opinion, but at the same time, especially for Geats, a type of character who's supposed to be a fox. But other than that, it's still a awesome looking form. Like, it's really, really awesome looking form, especially when the whole sword play. The whole sword play he did earlier before he put on the actual form was absolutely freaking dope. The amazing animation and amazing camera work. But yeah, overall, I'm wondering what what really is going through Ghidorah's head right now. Like, he's getting all these interferences when it comes down to destroying Geats. So I really do feel like Ace will end up not being in the game and also losing his memories and things like that. I feel like that is going to happen at some point, and we're going to inevitably get Geats back by the end of it. But you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of Kamen Rider Geats episode 13. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you guys think of the new jet form? Let me know all that down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Remember, stay henshined.